Greetings, kindred. Happy new moon to you all, wherever you may be in the world. So, thank you so much for your support with regards to the full moon video. I just really wasn't well at all. I just got back from a trip and yeah, I was feeling pretty exhausted. I had the flu, which took me off my feet for about a week, I think. But I'm back now, and I am a little bit late with this. But to be honest, the energies are just so exhausting right now. I mean, there's a lot going on here in the UK right now. Um, I know there's a lot going on all around the world, though. So I know it's not just here, but things are definitely escalating. And, I do feel, from June, well, July really, from July, as I did say, from July onwards, it was going to get a little bit more chaotic. And because the energies are just so intense, especially with these generational aspects we got going on in our skies right now. And yeah, of course, it's election year. We've had ours here in the UK. I know you've got yours in the USA coming up soon in a couple of months. So yeah, it's always a really hyped up time amongst all the chaos that's like accumulating anyway. But let's get into it. So the new moon will begin on August 4th, 2024 at 12:13 in the GMT time zone, at 7:13 in the EDT time zone, and at 21:13 in the AEDT time zone. And the new moon will be at 14 degrees in the sign of Cancer. Now, this is a really kind of emotional sign, actually. It's a water sign. Cancer is a water sign, but also very empathic, very psychic energy. So, for many of us that are not really, tuned into what's going on in our world right now, we're definitely feeling the energies like that atmosphere. Cancer is all about vulnerability and, there's can be a lot of insecurities that come up around this energy. So, but, it's also the sign of wisdom. And once we get over those hurdles of emotional instability or emotional vulnerabilities, then we can really step into our sense of wisdom. So also, it affects our moods, how we feel. It's not just emotionally, but also physically. So I can imagine a lot of people right now are just feeling mentally, emotionally, and physically drained. Especially since sign of Cancer can also like be overly sensitive, to what's going on around them, to their environment and stuff like that. But it can also create this energy with the moon in Cancer. It can also create like I can't think of a nicer word to say it really, but there can be this element of paranoia as well. Where we don't feel safe. We're always looking over our shoulder. It's just a very, very kind of vulnerable, intense feeling that this energy can emit. And I feel it's especially so, with the moon is sextile to Jupiter now, even though this is a positive aspect on the whole, the moon in sextile to Jupiter can bring about charitable feelings or generosity, but it also expands on emotional empathy and, like being comfortable in our own skin is very important. It also gives us a really expansive imagination. So, depending what frame of mind we're in, whether that comes in positive or negative, do you know what I mean? It really does depend on our state of well being as individuals. So for those of us that do a lot of meditation, yoga, or express ourselves creatively, I think we will be the ones that have been a little bit more stable. And but for those of us that are in that emotional energy of feeling insecure or vulnerable, then obviously that energy will be expanded, especially since Jupiter, well, Mars is coming into conjunction with Jupiter. So, you know, Mars is an active energy, and in Taurus, it really is, about our economy. Again, Taurus is all about the home, our sense of security in a material sense, whereas Cancer's more about our security or sense of security in an emotional sense. So that's why I'm saying physically and mentally, many of us could be feeling drained right now. Even if we do spiritual work, even if we're doing like energy healing or meditation, even if we're doing all those things, I can imagine there's people around us that are being affected, which will affect us. So I do feel there's a lot out there at the moment, or a lot of people out there that do need some sort of guidance or someone to help support them. And, Mars coming into conjunction with Jupiter, I think can activate that energy as well. And, the good thing about the Taurian energy is it can help us to get grounded as well. So we do have Mercury though in pre-shadow. I mean, Mercury's been in pre-shadow since the 17th of July, I think it was. I've done an article on the three phases of the Mercury retrograde, which I will link below wherever you're watching this, whether it's on my website or whatever platform you're watching this on. I would definitely link that article on the Mercury retrograde, but I've also done one on the pinnacle of the Lionsgate portal and the energies that are coming in around about that time too. I will also link that below for those of you that haven't read those articles already. So the pre-shadow energy is very similar to the retrograde. Like I said before, the pre-shadow energy is the route or the path that Mercury will be retrograding through as it goes backwards in our sky. In conjunction to Venus, he can bring in a sense of fickleness. Do you know what I mean? Where we're not being genuine or true to ourselves, we can tend to jump on bandwagons because the nodes are involved in this chart as well. But we'll get into the nodes in a minute. But it is really good, the healing side of it. It's really good to get into writing, whether you're writing a journal, poetry, or a song, or just writing, maybe starting a book. It's really good for releasing anything we might be feeling or feeling vulnerable to. Keeping a journal at the very least, I always recommend, because sometimes when we look back on what we've written, it may not make sense at the time, but later on, we think, wow, was I really in that place at that time? It gives us a better understanding of when we reach our low points, you know, um, how we're exactly feeling. Because once we get beyond it, we do tend to forget, because we do tend to just keep moving forwards, keep moving on. So, it is a good idea that when we're going through our vulnerable moments, that we do keep a journal of that to reflect back on at a later date. And then that gives us insight into, what meditations or theatre therapies, or what we can do to really get us through those times, because it's not like we only get them once in our life. They do come periodically depending on the planets and how the planets are affecting the earth, and again how the energies around us are affecting us or what we're going through. And I can see there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. Yeah, Mercury in pre-shadow, this new moon is at 15 degrees. I talk about the 15-degree mark quite a lot because it's been showing up quite a lot. And I did actually see a lot of 15 energies or 15, the number 15 frequencies throughout the Lionsgate portal. So I do feel August is going to be a very, very intense month, and yeah, we're going to see things kind of escalate in that respect. So, we also have Venus in quincunx to Neptune, which is here. And Neptune is retrograding at the moment for his own sign of Pisces at 7 degrees, sorry, not 17. This, is a very spiritual kind of energy that Neptune's emitting, but it's an inner feeling. So, we can tend to be in our own little worlds and we can tend to wear rose tinted glasses, especially since Neptune is in opposition to not just the goddess Juno, but the Black Moon Lilith, who's conjunct the South Node. Now, when the Black Moon Lilith is conjunct the South Node, it does make it harder for us to recognize, our downfalls in life or our shadow energy or the realistic or the reality, I should say, of our situations. And with that opposition towards Neptune in retrograde, we can tend to wear rose tinted glasses. Do you know what I mean? So it is a time for people to really face up to the reality of life or the reality of their situations, or else they're just like, putting it on the back burner, so to speak. But like I said, it is a hard thing for us to really get a grip on. It's hard for us to really see it. So what I would say about Neptune in opposition to the Black Moon Lilith and the South Node, it's not that we are in avoidance or facing the reality of our situations. It is we are blind to it, So that's why I think I wrote in the Mercury retrograde, while some of us are fully aware of the reality of our situations, there's many that won't be. And we must be very patient with that. Although patience seems to be wearing very thin, and I'm seeing that with my eyes, my own eyes here in the UK, things are really kicking off. I know in the US, things have been kicking off, and, all over the world, things are really kind of kicking off. I'm not too sure what's going on in Australia at the moment. So for those of you that are out in Australia, please do let me know how it is there and how things are going because it sounded like more positive. I haven't really caught up with my contacts there. So I haven't really had time. I've been traveling a lot this year. So it seems to be my year for travel. I am moving around quite a bit. I mean, I've only been out the country once, but I seem to be moving around a lot in my own country. And yeah, but I think that's needed as well. I do go in 2020, I think, or 2021, I did a little tour around the country as well. So every now and again, I do tend to go off on my travels. And yeah, I just think sometimes a change is as good as a rest. So if you're feeling that you need a break to get away, maybe visit a relative in a different town or a different city, or if you can, book a little room somewhere and just go and get some peace and quiet because that peace and quiet is what many of us need right now because the media has been very, very noisy. As I said in my last video, actually, the media attention is really being hyped up right now. And it's a lot of noise in our heads, especially when our energies are so drained right now. I mean, in the UK, we have this Pluto midheaven opposition. And, the midheaven is also in the 11th house here, so, the 11th house in 13 star sign astrology or in the true lifetime sky astrology is ruled by Sagittarius, who's actually residing in the 8th house of Libra. So it's trying to find balance, publicly we're trying to find balance here, but we do have the new moon here in the 11th house as well. So there's a lot of emotional stuff going on here right now in the UK. And, the house of Saturn is the 12th house, but this is more the behind the scenes. And that's where this or Mercury pre-shadow, I should say, is at 15 degrees conjunct Venus. So, there's a lot going on here in the UK around our economy. And, like I said, the number 15 isn't a great number in certain respects, but, it's all about repercussions. And, Venus is about the economy as much as, it is about our relationships and whether they be intimate or social. So Venus at 10 degrees, I mean, 10 does break down to 1, and it's all about the self, especially in Leo. So we really do need to get into our self power. But this quincunx with Venus towards Neptune, it's like, like I said, again, rose tinted glasses, not really seeing the reality of our situations. So that really does support the Black Moon Lilith conjunct South Node energy here. Yeah, we do also have this kite as well. So we do have Juno in trine to Uranus, who's in trine to Pluto, back to Juno. And we have the Neptune sextile Pluto, but also Neptune sextile Uranus, which are both generational. And these are the aspects that are very intense right now because, they go on for a long time, but they're the outer planets and they have a really intense energy when they come together. And even though they're in sextile, it is kind of like a battle going on with the Plutonian energy. Um, Pluto in sextile Neptune is about really world's karma and on a global level it's really about mass destiny and what we've been putting into the systems, what we've been putting into the institutions, social and political. And then we have Neptune in sextile to Uranus, so sudden changes. And yeah, I mean, like I said, when we are kind of coming into a new era, really, because that's what we're doing. We're entering into a new phase. Um, and this new phase, I mean, it's always chaotic before the dust settles. That's how I'm seeing it at the moment. Like the dust is just all being kicked up right now, and we can't see our way forwards because the dust is like blocking our view. We don't have the clarity or the sensibility even at times. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're just like trying to fight our way through this cloud of dust. And but then when the dust settles, it gradually becomes clear. And I think that is what we're all going through at the moment. The dust, trying to get a clearer picture of where we're heading on our forward paths. So, with this Black Moon conjunct South Node, I mean, it is harder for us to see the downfalls in life, and it does inhibit our ability to move forward, for mankind's evolution. It kind of slows it down. And then we do have this T square with the nodes and the Black Moon Lilith square Ceres. Now, this has been going on since the last new moon. And for those of you that listened to my last video, which was the last new moon, I did see things kind of going off around children and stuff like that, which has happened here in the UK, and I don't know about other places in the world right now. But, it's also again about our sense of security. I mean, Ceres to me is very much connected to the Cancerian energy. It's all about empathy, compassion. Some people do say it's about food resources. I do think that as well, because, like, we need nourishment. Ceres is about nourishment, nourishing the soul, nourishing the child within. So again, I would say that, watch your diet, exercise, and the nodes. I mean, the Black Moon Lilith and the South Nodes are in the sign of Virgo, which is really about, to me, Virgo rules the seventh house, which is more about relationships, healthy relationships. Because, like, if we're not in healthy relationships, it affects our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So, it's still about health, but in a different way. The sun actually rules the sixth house. And, the sun there's a lot going on around sun health right now. Vitamin D, that's been an issue for quite a while. And, the sun is going through its own phase, its own evolution right now. And of course, because the sun's going through its own evolution, it is affecting all the planets in the solar system. And this has been going on for quite a while, so that's why I'm not really into all the narrative out there around the climate, because, I understand the sun's movements through our sky, through research in astronomy and astrology and ancient history. So, our sun is going through an evolutionary cycle, and it's not just the Earth that's being affected. We've been hearing a lot about changes occurring on Jupiter, changes occurring on Saturn, and other planets, Uranus, Neptune. They're all going through this change at the moment, this transformation. So, there is DNA upgrading going on as well, because if the sun is going through an evolutionary time, so are the planets, but so are we. So are all living beings within the solar system. We are all going through an evolutionary change. So I'm going to leave it there, Kindred. Like I said, I've already written 2 articles, one on the Mercury retrograde and one on, the pinnacle of the Lionsgate portal. And I will link them below as promised. And as always, I'm sending you all peace and much love. Take care.